And same way, if you are not positivist, you have no space either, in the discourse community. And you have to accept only a single scientific method. If you have like a different scientific method, you are excluded. So this reductionist uniplex perspective, I call it closed science culture. It leads to authoritarianism and discrimination. But this multiplex perspective, which brings together different views, this is what I call open science. So open science is the foundation of open civilization. And fiqh and usul fiqh is the best expression and embodiment of open civilization. Because in fiqh, there is ijtihad, and ijtihad allows diversity of opinions to coexist together. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So this multiplex perspective, saves us from so many false dichotomies and false binaries, such as the church versus the state. Why not both? Religion versus science. Why not both? Matter versus idea, body versus soul, subjective versus objective, universal versus relative, society versus individual, tradition versus modern, man versus woman, fact versus value. This is all false dichotomies, pseudo-binaries, from which Western and modern thought suffers. But from a multi-layered, multiplex Islamic worldview, we can handle these things together. They can coexist. Fact and value can coexist. There is no conflict between man and woman. Instead, there is solidarity. Tradition and modern, they don't need to be mutually exclusive of each other. They can coexist. Same way, there is no conflict between body and soul, subjective and objective, universal and relative, society and individual. This multiplex perspective recognizes them as different levels, and manages them together. Yeah, we already discussed the multiple types of knowledge in the Maratib al-Ulum and the Maratib al-Usul. This is, I think, very, very important and interesting, and this does not exist in the West or in modern philosophy, modern thought. Our ulama, they agreed that there are two methods which lead us to hakikat, to truth. One is called nazar, the other is called tasfiyah and tazkiyah. So nazar, in English, it's reasoning. And we divide nazar into two categories, nazar akli and nazar shar'i. So nazar akli is based on empirical research as well as rational thinking, without including wahi in it. And this method is used in empirical research and philosophical inquiry. So this is the common ground between us and non-Muslims. Because non-Muslims, they don't believe in wahi, so you cannot recite ayat or hadith to them. You have to use rational evidence or empirical evidence when you communicate with them and when you collaborate with them. So we recognize that this method is a legitimate scientific method that can be used in scientific research. And then we accept that there is nazar shar'i, religious reasoning, and this includes reason, sense perception, and plus divine revelation. Wahi, aql, hawas, and wahi together, three of them. And this method, nazar shar'i, is used in fiqh, usul fiqh, furu fiqh, is used in ilm al-kalam, is used in hadith, is used in tafsir, in all ulum shar'iyya, in all Islamic disciplines. nazar şer'i is used. But in philosophical inquiry, empirical inquiry, nazar akli is used. And the nazar is objective and rational. It could be used in society, in our social life. But there is also another method, which is the method of tasfiye and tezkiye. It is used in the discipline of tasawwuf, purification of the self. قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها. And also in the Quran, Allah Ta'ala introduces the pedagogy, the education method of Rasulullah يعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة ويزكيهم. So there is يعلمهم based on ta'aleem. This is based on nazar, reasoning. And then يزكيهم, this is the method of tazkiyah. Okay, so this shows that there is maratib al-usul, two different methods, used to reach to al-haqiqa. And our ulama, like Fahrettin Razi, Taftazani, Tashköprüzade, and all our ulama, they accept these methods and they coexist together. They are not mutually exclusive because they are based in the Quran and Hadith. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So fiqh is an open law, because fiqh accepts ijtihad. Ijtihad means freedom of expression. So anybody who's qualified to be a mujtahid can make ijtihad, and his ijtihad is respected. No one can say, leave your ijtihad and follow my ijtihad. Even if this mujtahid have only one follower, or he does not have any followers, he's free to follow his ijtihad as long as it's grounded in usul fiqh, as long as he's a qualified mujtahid. Okay? So no one can impose any mezhab on other people. So usul fiqh guarantees diversity, pluralism in Muslim community. That's why we had so many mezhabs, and eventually now we have like only 4 Sunni mezhab, but before we had like many mezhabs, because of this. So usul fiqh guarantees diverse opinions. Usul fiqh guarantees diversity of opinions and freedom of expression. So this is within the Muslim community. So you may wonder, like Muslim ulama, they disagree in many issues, but how come they are united? Like Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, they disagree in many issues, but how come they are united? So what unites them is not furu fiqh, is not ahkam. What unites them is usul al-fiqh. So the ummah is united in using usul al-fiqh. So if you use usul al-fiqh, you have a solid method. When you make your ijtihad, we respect your opinion. But if you don't use usul al-fiqh, and you came up with an opinion, we don't respect your opinion. Okay? So what unites the ummah is usul, not the ahkam al-far'iyya. So this is something very important. So fiqh is an open law within Muslim community, but at the same time, fiqh, non-Muslim communities, they can practice their legal system. Like the Jews, they practice their law, and the Christians, they practice their law. Copts practice their law. Armenians, Orthodox, they practice their laws. So Sharia and fiqh does not bring diversity only to the Muslim community, but at the same time, it brings diversity to the non-Muslim community as well. So it guarantees, it protects freedom of expression, freedom of religion, and also freedom of law. This is called legal pluralism. According to our ethics, akhlaq is based on the concept of adamiyya. So it's a concept of universal human being. But in some countries, in some civilizations, in some legal systems, there isn't concept of universal human. There is only citizen. So if there is a concept of universal human being, then it becomes possible to talk about the rights and duties of this universal human being. But if there is no concept of universal human being, then you can talk only about rights and duties of the citizens. Yes. So when we look at the history of fiqh, we see that there are two approaches in fiqh: the universalistic approach and the communalistic approach. So Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, and Ibn Hanbal, Ahmed ibn Hanbal, radiyallahu anhum, rahimahumullah, they all accepted the universal concept of human being, al-adamiyya, as the foundation of rights and duties. So Abu Hanifa said, al-isma bil-adamiyya, which means rights are due for humanity. So you see, the concept of adamiyya, and he's attributing al-isma to the adamiyya. And the same way, al-Midani, he said, al-hur ma'asum bi nafsihi. So a human being is protected, inviolable by virtue of his existence. And Ibn Mazah said, al-adami muhtaramun hayyan wa mayyitan. Ibn Abidin said, al-adami mukarram walam kafran. See, this is very important. Ibn Abidin, this is very famous Hanafi faqih. So he wrote, al-adami mukarramun walam kafran. So every child of Adam is honored, is dignified, even if he is an infidel, even if he is, like a non-Muslim, but mukarram, respected, honored, dignified. So from this perspective, we see that rights are brought at birth. Like if you are born as a human being, you have these rights, and rights are not granted by the state. It's granted by Allah Ta'ala because you are a human being, and the subject of law is the human beings. But on the other hand, Imam Shafi'i and the Shafi'i ulama, most of them, but there are exceptions also among them. So they said, al-isma bil-iman aw bil-aman. So rights are due for the citizenry by faith or treaty. So they were focusing on the citizens of Islamic State, and you become citizen of the Islamic State if you are a Muslim or if you have aman, like if you have a zimmi status. So from this perspective, rights are granted by the state, and the subject of law is the citizen. So citizens are granted these rights. They are protected under Islamic law. But if you are not citizen under Islamic law, the Muslims are not responsible to protect you. But from the perspective of the Jumhur, Muslims are responsible to protect everybody in the world, even if they are not citizens of the Islamic state. So this is, this is based on the concept of Adamiyya. All right, let's move on. Okay, so this view may be expressed as I am, therefore I have rights and duties. That's the English expression of this perspective. I am, so like my existence qualifies me to have rights and duties. I don't need to be anything else. I don't need to be like a Muslim. I don't need to be citizen of the Islamic State, etc. Just being human is enough to have rights and duties. from the Sharia perspective, from fiqh perspective. So let me read a citation from Imam Sarakhsi, who's a great Hanafi scholar, faqih, who died in the 11th century, 1090. So he wrote, لأن الله لما خلق الإنسان لحمل أمانته أكرمه بالعقل والذمة ليكون بها أهلا لوجوب حقوق الله عليه ثم أثبت له العصمة والحرية والملكية ليبقى فيتمكن من أداء ما حمل من الأمانة ثم هذه الأمانة والحرية والملكية ثابتة للمرء من لحظة ولادته ويكون المميز وغير المميز فيه سواء فكذلك الذمة الصالحة لوجوب الحقوق فيها ثابت له من حين أن يولد يستوي فيه المميز وغير المميز. So it says that when Allah Ta'ala created human beings, He honored them with intelligence and capacity to carry responsibilities and rights so that they would be capable of fulfilling their obligations and the rights entrusted to them. Then He granted them the right to inviolability, the right to freedom, and the right to property. Why? So that they could continue their lives in such a way that they can fulfill the responsibilities they carry. These responsibilities, freedom, and right to property are inherent to individuals from the moment of their birth. So these are born rights. And the discerning and non-discerning alike are equal in this regard. Thus, the capacity to bear rights and responsibilities is inherent in individuals from birth. And all individuals, regardless of their level of intellectual development, they are equal in this regard. So this is from Imam Sarakhsi, who is a well-known faqih. So what summarizes this view is, what I have cited from Ibn Abidin, Al-Adami Mukarramun Shar'an Wala Kafiran. So that's the Adami, concept of Adami, the universal concept of Adami, which is the bedrock, the foundational rock of open civilization. So this is what made open civilization in Medina during the Khulafa Rashidin time, Abbas time, Umayyad time, during the Babur Shah and Mughal period in India and in Andalusia, during the Ottoman Empire. So this, the concept of Adamiyya. And the general rule, Al-Qa'ida Al-Kulliyya, is Al-Isma Bil-Adamiyya. Inviolability is due to humanity, to every human being. Yes. So from the perspective of Al-Isma Bil-Adamiyya, every child of Adam is qualified for the right to the inviolability, regardless of whether they are male or female, rich or poor, white or black, Muslim or non-Muslim. All right? Yes. And so these rights are at the same time, the protection of these rights, they are also maqasid Sharia, the objective of Sharia. And they include right to freedom of religion, right to freedom of life, right to freedom of family, and right to freedom of intellect, and also property. And the purpose of Sharia is to protect these rights for every human being. These are the general, universal rights accorded to every human being. Like life of every human being is protected, property, family of every human being is protected. Like who is the most powerful sultan or ruler in Islam? Like let's say Harun Rashid. Can Harun Rashid invite a family and tell them, okay, I'm separating wife and husband? No, he doesn't have this power. So because these are all protected, even the state cannot intervene with these rights. Let's move on. And there are many examples of how Muslims protected non-Muslims. There are many of them. All right, let's move on. Okay, so today, we need to revive this concept of Adamiyya, inshallah ta'ala, once again, if you want to revive open civilization. So there are three things that we need to revive today to revive open civilization. First, this multiplex worldview based on maratibul wujud, maratibul ulum, maratibul usul, maratibul haqa'iq, and then the usul fiqh as a method of social, legal, ethical reasoning, which guarantees diversity of opinions within the Muslim community and outside the Muslim community. And then the concept of Adamiyya, which universally recognizes every human being equal with rights. Okay, so these are the three things that we need to revive. And this is what's needed today in the world. So today, in the world, the most important problem is diversity management of different religious communities, ethnic communities, and unfortunately, the Western powers, they don't have this historical experience, and they don't have the philosophy of it, they don't have the theology of it, and we Muslims, we have long experience. We practiced open civilization all over the world, and our fiqh, our theology requires us, this, and as Muslims, we need to adopt it as a future vision, inshallah ta'ala, and work towards it and offer it to the whole world, not only for Muslims, but the whole world, inshallah ta'ala. And there was an effort by the Ottomans, to make some reforms to move in this direction. So Khalifa, the Ottoman Khalifa, and the Shaykh al-Islam, they abolished slavery in 1847. So no more slavery in Sharia because it's abolished, it's banned. Who banned it? The Khalifa banned it. He is the highest authority in Islam. Okay, so no one can, bring back slavery anymore. And then in 1856, the Islahat Khat Humayun, it abolished Zimma, and it also abolished jizya tax. It introduced that everyone is equal citizens of the Islamic State. No more distinction between Zimmi and Muslim, and also everyone will pay the same tax. Okay, this was in 1856 by the Khalifa. Okay, so today, like some people, they bring up the issue of slavery, they bring up the issue of Zimmi and the Jizya. So you can tell them these issues have been addressed and solved by the Caliph of Muslims 2 centuries ago. So we don't bother with them, inshallah ta'ala. All right. So this is the picture of Topkapı Palace in Istanbul. And you see that there is a tower which is highest. And so this tower is called the Burj al-Adala, Tower of Justice. So Ottomans built this high tower and called it the Adalet Tower, the Justice Tower, to symbolically give the message that Al-Adlu Asasul Mulk. Justice is the base of the state. Justice is the basis of the rule, and justice for everybody, for all creation of Allah Ta'ala. Okay, so inshallah we stop here. There are like some other things, but our time is up, so we stop here, inshallah Ta'ala. So if you have any questions, we can continue addressing your questions.
Assalamu alaikum, Center. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you for your fantastic and fabulous presentation here, Mr. Matthew presentation. Actually, we are in seventh heaven. We got you as a guest today in our college, and you can see in the video there are many white spotted and widely aggregated population in front of you. The white dressed students, we are the students of Department of Civilizational Studies, and our education system actually it is integrated system of Islam and modern education. And we are happy to get you as a guest today to our program. And here we can enter to the session of question, answer, and comments. And firstly, I have a question for you. Is there any alternative to deal with the problem of reductionism or exclusivity of civilization or uniplexity of civilization in the case of education? Can we deal with this problem with an alternative of education in Islam? Is there any principle to get this multiplexity or open civilization in the case of Islam?
Yes, yes, yeah. This is a very important question, and thank you very much for your question. You know, the Western social science is not universal. You know, we have to be aware of this. Western social science is not universal. We have our own social science, which is our fiqh. So Western social science deals with human being, deals with human action, social relations, social problems, you know, from a secular perspective, excluding wahi, excluding religion. But fiqh also deals with human action. Fiqh also deals with social problems, social relations, social institutions. So if you want to move away from closed civilization to open civilization, we need to study social issues, economics, politics, family, education, anything from fiqh perspective. Because the subject matter of social science is human action. What's the subject matter of fiqh? Again, human action, right? So you have two disciplines studying the same thing. So you have a choice. Either you choose the Western paradigm, Western perspective, use Western social science, or you know, choose the Islamic perspective, use fiqh, you know, and also Ibn Khaldun, you know, in studying civilizations. So Ibn Khaldun is the best alternative to Western colonialist social science. You know, adopt Ibn Khaldun as a new paradigm to study civilizations, and actually his authority is accepted by all Western and non-Western scholars all over the world. So I jokingly say our method in fiqh is Hanafi or Shafi'i, but in our method in social sciences is Khalduniya. Khalduniya method in social, not Weberiya, you know, but Khalduniya. So, inshallah ta'ala, we adopt Ibn Khaldun in the study of civilizations. And from our perspective, civilization must be based on akhlaq, morality. You know, civilization is not decided by technology. It's not decided by weapons. It's not decided by building high buildings. Because Prophet Muhammad والسلام, he built Islamic civilization in Medina, and it was based on makarim al-akhlaq. So what makes a society civilized is makarim al-akhlaq. If a society has makarim al-akhlaq, it is civilized. If a society does not have makarim al-akhlaq, it's primitive. So today, Western world is very primitive. They don't have makarim al-akhlaq. They lost makarim al-akhlaq. They lost their religion. You know, they got disconnected from Allah. You know, they lost. So it's not civilized. So we need to introduce Makarim al-Akhlaq to the whole world, to the West also. The world will gain Makarim al-Akhlaq with the rise of Islam, inshallah ta'ala. So open civilization is based on Makarim al-Akhlaq. So what makes a society civilized is morality. If a group of society, if they have no morality, they are bandits, they are thieves, they are plunderers, they are robbers. They go to other countries and rob their wealth, exploit. So how can we call them civilized? They are some bunch of thieves. So inshallah, we follow Ibn Khaldun in the study of civilization, and also fiqh in the study of human action, and we redefine what is civilization, what is not civilization. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. The answer was very interesting, and in your answer you just mentioned about the Khaldunian perspectives, and as a situational, we are the students of Department of Civilizational Studies in our college. The students are studying about the Khaldunian perspective in the paper about sociology and civilization, and this is an instrumental that they wanted to make you present in front of them about the topic. And here I have another question. It is also related to education, and the question is that in one of your speech you have mentioned about the education. Students must be ready to make their own concept and theories rather than studying the theories and concept of other scholars and other aficionados, and rather they should be facilitated to make their own theories and concept. And can you comment on this thing?
Yes.
How much is
Yes.
possible for students make their own
Yes.
theories?
Yes. Yeah. This is also a very important question. The ultimate purpose of Islamic education is to elevate the students from the level of taqlid to tahqiq. Because the ultimate education of education is to make students ulama. And the difference between awam and ulama is that ulama knowledge is based on tahqiq. Tahqiq means evidence-based knowledge. Evidence-based knowledge. This is tahqiq. So taqlid means a knowledge not based on evidence, no delil. Tahqiq means knowledge based on delil, based on evidence. So when you become an alim, you know the evidence for every hukum in fiqh. That's tahqiq. And in ilm kalam, when you have tahqiq, you know why we believe in Allah, why we believe in Prophet Muhammad, why believe in the Quran. So you have delil, you have evidence for these things. Okay, so real ilm teaches you why you believe in something, why you accept it, what's the delil behind it. When I was a young child, I had a sheikh, and this sheikh taught me the following couplets: لو لم يكن لما لذهب الكلاب بالقلنسوة. لو لم يكن لما. So if there was no the question of why and why, لذهب الكلاب, dogs would wander around بالقلنسوة, with the turban of alim, with the turban Maulana. Because like nobody's asking them why you think so. The ultimate goal of education is to make the students ask why, and then provide the evidence, the delil, for it. So elevate them from level of taqlid to tahqiq. And when they reach so you are the highest if you have true faith. So today, we are not the highest. Why? Because there is problem in our faith. We are not true mu'mineen. If we are true mu'mineen, وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنْتُمْ مُؤْمِنِينَ. This is the short. the shart, the prerequisite in kuntum mu'minin, inshallah ta'ala. So may Allah give you the best success, best tawfiq, and I will I wish you the best success in your studies about civilization, inshallah ta'ala, from Ibn Khaldun perspective, inshallah. Let's revive the legacy of Ibn Khaldun. Let's revive Islam as open civilization, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. That was a great
Wa alaikum
message
salam.
to our society and to our students. And thank you. We are winding up in here. We are almost 30 minutes late. Thank you, Dr. Shantürk, for your valuable knowledge. This will be beneficial and fruitful for our students, and it will be benefit in their reading and their thoughts. We are sure we will we will conduct many follow-ups with this session, with many discussions and other things. And here, sorry for being late and for the technical issues which also occurred in the starting of the session. Here we are winding up our session. Jazakallah alfa marra. And thank you for everything. Thank you for being our guest today. And thank you for being there for your valuable things, inshallah.
Inshallah.
This session
Inshallah.
will be valuable things.
Assalamu alaikum. Huda Hafiz.